everyone, it's Lori Ashworth. We are back for our sixth webinar session on mental fitness, though we just are winding down, and I'm really excited for this session because I think that this topic, out of all the other topics, is so important, and the topic that I really see the most, and the topic that really kind of people come to me a lot with. Some of these things might hit really close to home, and I would encourage you kind of, if that is true for you, instead of kind of, getting angry about it or, kind of getting defensive when I kind of am talking, really kind of look into yourself and kind of be open to, this may hit home and it might be you, and kind of, really dig deep into yourself and be realistic, and we'll kind of go over that. So again, this topic is when training becomes an obsession. I would love questions. I know we haven't had a lot of questions in the past couple seminars, but again, where this is a really important topic, I would love people to, ask questions and be active. So our health question, mental health overview. Life, family, work, sleep, nutrition, social lives, schedules, and training. And this is when kind of all those other things come second to training, and when we're kind of neglecting some of the other parts in our lives because we are training too much, or our mind is so focused on training that we kind of can't think of anything else. And really, again, these topics are really when it becomes debilitating in your life, and it really is impacting your life in a negative way. So sometimes, when I talk, people say, like, that is me, but, I'm really okay with it. It doesn't impact anything else. And so that's okay. It's really when that, crosses over to severely impacting your life in a negative way that we really want to be careful. So today's discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of training first, because there are a million benefits, and kind of that's why we all do it. We're going to determine what training means to everyone and why. We're going to go over some of the warning signs of overtraining and obsessive training, talk about the health effects, and then finally really what to do about it once you kind of are concerned or someone else is concerned for you. So those are the main topics. So benefits of training. So we get into a sport, we start training, we kind of really enjoy the sport. There are a million benefits, and that's why we're doing it, really. And, we see that, we have positive reinforcements. So we see people that are interested that we're doing something new, and, good for you. You're starting this marathon program, or you're starting a triathlon program. People are really impressed. Improve and embraces. So you start training a lot, and you see your, numbers go down and your times go down, and, you're really challenging yourself, and you're really pushing through, and you're really kind of, improving in many different areas while racing. Respect. So that was kind of, goes hand in hand of what I was talking about in the first one is, you start to, again, do better. People start asking you questions. You start helping other people. So, that respect of being a competitor feels good, and, you enjoy that. It's also a therapeutic outlet and an emotional outlet. Again, I like to say that running and athletics are not therapy, but they are therapeutic. So it's that mental outlet that you have that kind of, it's you on the road, and, it's your time. It's your me time. Weight loss or gain. So you start competing and your body changes, and you get positive reinforcement for either kind of losing weight or, gaining muscle mass and looking a little bit more toned. So people kind of, say to you, you look great. What are you doing? And then the social aspect of it, which I think is really important for a lot of people, especially when they get into this in their later lives. That social network as adults that, we lose sometimes because we're so busy in other areas of our lives. Well, triathlon training can be very isolating because, if we're doing it all of our own, it's isolating, but it also can be very social, even if we are doing the training on our own. So we can talk about it with fellow triathletes. We can meet up, after a long run at the bar or for coffee, or again, it becomes something that you're part of in an overall feeling, in an overall community. And you know, again, these are all benefits of training, and there are tons more that I haven't even touched upon. Does anybody have any other ones that, you know, they feel are really important benefits of training? All right, I don't see any questions or any comments, but we'll keep going. So let's talk about social media for a second. You know, when training becomes an obsession, and I think this is really important because as I've started working with more and more athletes, I've seen social media really impact this obsession that people get with training. So, for instance, with, you know, Strava and Garmin and people uploading their workouts as soon as they finish them, and, you know, looking at other people, you know, on these networks and trying to beat them, or feeling self-conscious about posting your results on something because other people will see them. Social media is huge. I call them the Facebook color glasses, like I probably mentioned before. So we see the things that we want to see. So we see that, you know, person that, you know, is doing 2 workouts in a day, and then we maybe don't feel as good about our one workout. Or, you know, I work with a lot of charity runners who sometimes say to me kind of, well, everyone else is doing a marathon and I'm only doing a 5K. You know, a 5K is great for that person who, you know, 2 months ago or 3 months ago wasn't even getting off the couch or was sick. But kind of social media is so hard because we compare ourselves to other people, and we see this ideal image of what we should be doing and what we want to strive to be. And I think this really feeds the obsession sometimes because, you know, we're trying to be something that isn't, you know, realistic, and we're seeing kind of what somebody wants us to see. So, you know, it just feeds that obsession. And the other thing is that, you know, 24 hours a day, you can also feed a so-called obsession with this athletics, with going online, with, you know, again, the Garmins and the Stravas, and, you know, analyzing past workouts and analyzing last year's workouts, or, you know, the winners of these races. So again, more and more I see that this social media piece of athletics is really impacting a lot of athletes emotionally. And, you know, that's really, you know, a mental barrier for a lot of people. And, you know, sometimes I tell people, like, do you think that you could take Facebook off your phone? And how would that feel? And if someone says to me, I couldn't do that, you know, and I kind of say, why? Like, if that makes you uncomfortable, why is it making you uncomfortable? And, you know, social media can be a really good thing, but it can also be, you know, really difficult. So I love this page, and I use this, you know, little cartoon a lot because I think it's just so telling of how many different ways we're pulled now on social media, and again, the comparisons, and just the constant, you know, approval that you can get from people, or, you know, the constant, you know, disapproval of ourselves. Okay, so the first thing that you really need to do is, when thinking about, you know, overtraining, or if training has become an obsession, is really determining what training means to you and why. So why did you start training? Why did you start the sport that you're training in? Was it because, you know, you did want to become a little bit social? Was it because you wanted to get in better shape? Was it for a stress relief? And, you know, again, you really need to ask yourself, you know, why am I doing this? Why did I start doing this? And why am I doing it now? And sometimes the reason that you're kind of doing it now is just because it's a part of your identity and you don't have another identity, and you feel that you would feel lost without it. You know, remembering, you know, what led you to this. If it was somebody pushing you into it, kind of, well, is that what you really would want to be doing for yourself, or are you just doing it to kind of please other people? We talked about that, you know, last session. So really finding yourself, finding the meaning of what you're doing, and then asking yourself kind of, is what I'm doing leveling out with kind of why I'm doing this, and kind of really introspectively looking at yourself. And the meaning can really just change depending on where you are in your life. So, at one point when you maybe are younger and have all the time in the world, and you're 21 years old coming out of college and you have 20 hours to train. Well, you might be training to win a race. And maybe later on when you kind of have a family and, you're getting up at 5 in the morning to do your workouts, that's going to change. And you might not be able to put in as much time as you did. And now it's more of an outlet. It's more of a social, network. And, that's the reason why you're doing it now. So again, those things change. And I think you have to be okay with, knowing where training fits in as a priority in your life. And, knowing where training / competing fits in your life, because, you can train and, you can be happy with yourself, without needing to compete to win. And sometimes that's a hard concept for people. I understand if you have that competitive, personality, but it really can be something that you still enjoy, while something else is a priority, it's still beneficial for you. And then that kind of goes along with the third one. What are your short-term and long-term goals? And really figuring that out. So, my short-term goal is, I really just, want to put in, this many hours a week, and I want to be consistent. And then my long-term goal is, next year really doing this race. So right now, I'm not in a competitive, training plan. So I'm going to enjoy a little bit more time with my family, and I'm going to enjoy that little, some sleep, some extra sleep or something like that. So really that's going to shift where your priorities are with training, if that makes sense. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of athletes and OCD, and I didn't really know where to put this, so I kind of just threw it on the bottom of this slide. But there has been a lot of research lately on obsessive compulsive behaviors in athletes, and it's really something that's, again, now a hot topic in research. And we know that a lot of athletes kind of, have a lot of rituals and compulsive behaviors and things that they do that seem a little bit obsessive. And we're not sure, or the research isn't sure, I shouldn't say whether it's that athletes are more, kind of prone to actual obsessive compulsive disorder, or, the perfectionism and obsessiveness that makes up their personalities, leads them to the behaviors and the same kind of reasons that it leads us to athletics, if that makes sense. So there's been some studies that, relate the frequency of jogging with positively associated with a compulsive profile. Again, maybe not OCD exactly diagnosed, but kind of those behaviors. One of the reasons I think that these two things might go hand in hand, and I'll get to the kind of better point, but, there's a lot in these sports that's out of our control. So, when we race, the weather's out of control. How well we slept the night before sometimes is out of our control. Other athletes affecting us during races is sometimes out of our control. So sometimes these strict routines or, superstitions can provide athletes with, this familiarity and comfort to help control kind of those competitive nerves or, that competition and, in a race. So again, we don't know if, OCD is related to athletics or if it's just the same personalities that draw both to, the same thing, but it's really something to, keep in mind. And again, as more research is being done, you might want to think about it. And I only put that there because, sometimes it is people who have these obsessive compulsive, traits that end up really having a problem with, athletics becoming an obsession. All right. So let's look at warning signs of training obsession. Deep down, I use this phrase a lot, but deep down you always know if kind of something is off. So the first one is huge. So you're more driven and miserable than motivated and excited. So the difference, dreading sometimes that extremely long bike ride or that extremely long run, and really just being miserable about it. So there's that difference of, I don't really want to do this, it's freezing cold outside, but I know the end result is for a really good race. Or just actually being kind of miserable and having depressive symptoms over the fact that you have to do this. And again, there's kind of a difference. So you're not excited about the race upcoming, kind of you're not excited about, getting the workout done. You're really just dreading it. You don't want to do it. Nothing's positive about it. And really you're just doing it because you feel kind of pressure to, in a way. And you just feel that that's your identity and you have to do it. And kind of you would get so anxious if you weren't doing that. Continue to train even when ill or injured. These are the people that, push through everything. And again, sometimes they get that positive reinforcement of, oh, I can't believe that, you're doing your run even though you're sick. And kind of sometimes people feed off that. That person's so dedicated to running. They're running even when they're sick. Well, it might be that person that's running when they're sick because they, have such an obsessive with training that they can't not run, even if it's, going to do something to their health. And we know that long term it's really going to affect them, but short term they just can't imagine not doing the workout. Which brings you to kind of the third one, is experience anxiety when a workout is missed. So if I asked you to, not do one of your workouts tomorrow, if an emergency came up, if that would give you anxiety, then kind of we know we have a problem. I'm not telling you to kind of just say, well, Laura said that I have to miss a workout and see how I feel about it. We're not going to do that. But again, if there was an emergency, if you felt like you were injured, if you just wanted to, spend some extra time with your family, how would you feel, if that workout was missed? Would you perseverate over it a ton, or would you just say, kind of, okay, like, I missed a workout here. I'm not going to miss a workout for the next couple of weeks because I have a race coming up. Or would you just keep, telling yourself, like, I need to do this? A lot of times people will say to me, well, I missed this workout. My race is in 4 months. Am I still going to be ready? Well, it's one workout. Again, we're not going to make a pattern of this. And, I'm not your coach, so I'm not, speaking and encouraging you to do this often. But, things happen, life happens, and we need to kind of realize that. So again, thinking about what would happen if you did miss a workout. Constantly talking about sports training schedules and diets. So, you talk to your non-triathlon friends endlessly about your training cycles, your schedules. You're often talking to, your significant others, your kids. You can't talk about anything else. You're constantly, looking up the weather and, wondering about what the weather's going to be like this week so that, you can train. You're, spending a ton of money on, sports and training and, athletics, and kind of you don't have the money. Again, this taking over all of your life, and, always thinking about it, always being on that hamster wheel and not being able to kind of enjoy anything else. And again, on one end, kind of you want to be excited and you want to be educated, but again, it's when it becomes an obsession, when you feel like if you weren't able to do it and you weren't able to talk about it, kind of you would feel a little bit lost. And again, it's important to know, kind of the people in our lives that aren't training for triathlons, they care about it because they want to support you, but they don't really understand it enough to, listen to it endlessly. They're excited for you, but, we have to realize that kind of sometimes it's best to talk either, with people who understand and, are in these, sports, or really just saying, I'm going to do my workout and, that's it. Neglecting other important areas of life. So this is huge. And again, you are going to have to make sacrifices when you train. So, you sign up for a race, kind of you say, okay, like I'm going to make this a priority for the next 4 months. Maybe on Saturday mornings, kind of you don't get to see your kids because you're out on a bike ride. I'm not saying that that's this, but it's when you're, skipping work because you need to get a workout in, or, you're missing a wedding or a big moment in someone's life that you really care about because, you just have to work out, or, again, the financial area of life because you're spending money on a bike or you're spending money for races. Again, when this is overtaking other parts of your life and it really is your entire identity, then you kind of want to think about, what's really going on. Perseverating over workouts past and future. So all you can do is think about the workout 3 weeks ago that you didn't hit, or the upcoming workout in 2 days that you have to do, and you kind of can't think about anything else. And again, kind of you're looking at the weather and, you're dreading it, and, you can't believe that you have to do this, or you can't believe, what you did, again, yesterday, the day before, the day before. For a lot of you, that's why you have coaches, and that's why I think it's really important to sometimes have a coach, especially if you do have this obsessive compulsive behavior, because, let them analyze the workouts, let them look at, the numbers, and kind of you put in the work. It's also why, probably a lot of your coaches only send you a certain number of workouts, at a time. They don't send you 3 months of workouts because they know you're going to look forward and kind of, stress over it. Intense mood shifts. And this really goes with sometimes being malnourished and working out too much, but it also goes with, again, that first point of you're really miserable rather than motivated, and kind of you're experiencing depressive symptoms because of this. Or, you're really happy when you hit a workout, but when you, not fail at a workout, but when you don't hit a workout, you're miserable for the rest of your day, and everybody can tell kind of if you've had a good workout or if you've had a bad workout. It's sometimes related to people are so obsessed with the scale, and if their numbers at, a low, their entire day is good, and if their numbers high, kind of their entire day is ruined. Well, thinking about it like that with working out, does that workout dictate your entire day? Or do you kind of say, that sucked, I didn't hit my workout, but, there's always tomorrow. I got out there, I tried, I did my best, and now I'm going to shower, move on, go to work, and then try again tomorrow on a different workout. So again, those intense mood shifts of highs and lows can be for a lot of different reasons. Justifying excessive exercise as necessary to their sport. So this is saying to, your friends, well, I have to work out for 4 hours a day because, that's what everybody in my sport does, and I need to be better than everyone else. Or, no, I can't take a rest day because, that's not what people do. Telling, everybody how important exercise is to you and kind of putting it above everything else, is a real warning sign. And again, we are going to, at certain points, put in more time than other times, but, this is the, black and white kind of thinking of, I need to do all or nothing, and kind of telling everybody that, I have to do this because of A, B, and C. I have to do this because I'm comparing myself on social media to other people. And, at some points, we really start believing, this ourselves. If we're in it and kind of, all of these things, we're really not even probably noticing, but we kind of lie even to ourselves and say, like, I have to put in X number of hours per week because that's what people in my sport do. Next one, having friends and family notice a loss of perspective. So this is when kind of people come to you and tell you, like, I haven't seen you in a while, I'm kind of worried about you. or, even a spouse or kind of your kids saying, you love training more than you love us, or, whatever it might be. And again, to a certain point, like I said, when you do sign up for something, you do know that some areas of your life are going to be influenced. But influencing other areas of your life and really kind of negatively affecting other areas of your life are two very, very different things. And I think in a way, I always say this, but when I work with people, I actually love utilizing other supports and kind of saying, what do you see? Asking the people in our lives a lot, kind of what changes have you seen, or what's your point of view on this? Because we're such creatures of habit that we live in our lives every single day. We don't notice when things are getting excessive or obsessive, or even sometimes kind of if we're changing in a positive way, kind of we don't see that either. I have a lot of people and athletes that I work with kind of saying, I'm still stuck, and then I tell them, go home and ask kind of your husband or ask your kids kind of the changes they've seen, and they come back and say, my husband says he's seen such a positive, change in me, and that, I'm more happy, and, I'm more relaxed. And then they kind of, see how much growing they really have done. Not taking a rest day. So this is the person that kind of does 2 workouts every day, doesn't take a rest day for kind of 30 days, or, doesn't believe in them and says, they're for the week. We all need rest days. We all need kind of those, rest weeks, or, cutback weeks. And if you feel so strongly that you can't take a rest day, again, it's a really warning sign. And then the last one, kind of redoing workouts, and just having your body really just be impacted and by redoing those workouts, and you don't hit a workout and again you're perseverating. A lot of these things go hand in hand, and kind of forcing yourself to do it over. Any questions on any of those warning signs? I know, it's a lot to kind of take in. Anybody have any other warning signs or any other things that, they can really, I have, all of these qualities are the experience of QT training for long distance or Ironman athletes. Many times, commitment means there are times when you're more miserable doing the activity than you would like to be. In college class assignments, it's called commitment, and even often you feel great when it's done. I do not recall intense mood shifts for injury or illness. If you ask coach about training when injured or ill, that gives perspective. We are always checking weather to decide whether to do the outdoor training workouts. There are no rest days in the week. There are 2 and 4 weeks training cycle. Again, so a lot of this is, specific to you working with your coach. But, again, yes, checking the weather to decide whether to do outdoor or indoor workouts is appropriate, but checking it 6 or 7 times a day isn't. Again, taking rest days, that's 2 and 4 weeks sometimes for, training, but, if your body is so tired that, you really need them and you need them, and you're not able to take them, or your coach even tells you to take a rest day and you do something that you probably shouldn't be doing, but you feel so anxious, listening to your coach, kind of, then you have a problem. So again, it's all a matter of, how much this impacts your life. So again, this obsessiveness and kind of overtraining symptom, there are a lot of possible health effects that this might have on you. And again, we also see a lot of positive health benefits from, when we start training, but this is really kind of the other spectrum of, overtraining. So, excessive fatigue, you're always tired, because you're giving it your all in every single workout. All of your workouts are extremely hard. You don't believe in, recovery workouts or, whatever it might be, or you're not listening to your coach, to sometimes go and, zone 1 versus zone 3 versus zone 2, kind of you're not following that because you just want to go, as hard as you can for as long as you can. Insomnia. This is, again, we're going to experience less sleep sometimes because we have to wake up super early to get our workouts in, but this is really, not being able to sleep at all. And again, sometimes the insomnia can be because of you perseverating over your workouts and not being able to think about anything else, and being so stressed about it that you can't sleep. And sometimes it's more just a physical thing, so it can be both. Possible health effects, weight loss, and disordered eating. And this is huge with a lot of athletes that I work with, because a lot of us have read that, if you weigh less, you're going to race faster. And I think it's, definitely changing. And I think this is changing in society and with athletics as a whole. But oftentimes, we're taught that we need to eat a certain way to be at the top level of athletics, and it can become really disordered, and can really lead to kind of eating disorders. And, we really want to watch out about this. I've done a lot of, research lately on, college athletes and, the prevalence of eating disorders in especially female sports, rising, especially kind of running and those sports that really kind of, depends sometimes on, your weight and your body composition and all of that. So, that's a huge one. And that's also something that, is a really slippery slope. And, that is one of, I think it has the highest mortality rate kind of any, mental illness, because of complications. So, that's a huge one that I see a lot with athletes, and one that, you really want to get a hold of in the beginning because it can get a lot worse before it can get better. Elevated resting heart rate. So, this is huge where, we know that your life really depends on our heart, and kind of all of our workouts do, and kind of having an elevated resting heart rate, can affect everything. Increased susceptibility to infections and increased chances of injuries. So what do you do about this? So, a lot of these things are hitting home. You're kind of saying, yeah, I've had that obsessive training, or, I am kind of worried about, somebody else. So the first thing is really to know yourself and be realistic with yourself. And again, I always say, like, deep down, you usually know in your gut kind of, what the right decision is, or what the right thought is. So you really want to kind of know yourself and say, okay, what does obsessive and overtraining mean to me? So when I look at those warning signs, what are kind of the things that really hit home? Or, I'm going to start a new training routine and, training plan for 4 months. What are some warning signs that if this starts to happen, I need to really check in with myself? So being realistic and, knowing yourself are huge, with this. Getting ahead of it with your coach. So again, this is really important too, of talking to your coach and letting them know what type of person you are. And, telling your coach, okay, like, this is what I can handle and this is what I can't handle. And, I need you to be this way with me, or this isn't going to work. So, I'm the type of person who needs this kind of positive reinforcement, or, if you start seeing this, you need to kind of be frank with me and kind of let me know that this isn't how, you want to operate. And I think that's why kind of getting a coach and athlete relationship is so important. It's kind of like dating, is you really want to work with somebody who, can really strongly benefit you, not only physically, but also kind of emotionally, and knowing, what's going to trigger kind of this obsession and what's, not going to. So, some people are obsessed with kind of that mileage. So, maybe having some workouts where it's by time, or whatever it might be. Again, I said, not getting workouts so advanced that you're perseverating over them, or again, just talking to your coach, letting them know kind of what you've dealt with in your past, kind of how you work and operate, and kind of how you want to work together. Challenge yourself to go against your plan once in a while. And again, I'm not telling you, that I'm a coach or kind of, telling you to do things that your coach wouldn't want to do, but, asking yourself kind of, again, I, want to spend time with my family, and, I'm going to skip my workout today. You skip one workout in 4 weeks, that's okay. Especially if you're in your maintenance plan or something like that. So, what would it feel like if I didn't do exactly what was on the paper? And really kind of, challenging yourself around this, especially if you are kind of on the cusp of wondering if this is an obsession. Kind of, again, just taking that one day and seeing how it feels. Take a break. So, maybe you've been doing this for so long and this is your entire identity, and, it's not bringing you joy anymore, and you're doing it because you feel like you have to do it, and there are kind of people that are expecting you to do it. Well, take a 2-week break or take a month break and kind of try other things. Again, if you're really feeling this is an obsessive, trait, and, it's really negatively impacting your life, kind of doing something about it and doing something drastic about it. It's going to feel really weird at first because it's a huge shift, but, letting yourself realize that it's for the positive and it's for the benefit of your entire life. Seeking support from kind of your friends and family, and again, this can kind of be, what do you see? What are your thoughts of, how my training is affecting me, how it's affecting our relationship, how it's affecting our friendship, how it's affecting our kids, whatever it is, and really kind of leaning to, people that you trust, and also seeking support really, from other athletes. So maybe other athletes that you are really close to kind of have gone through this. There are a lot of professional athletes that speak on this of, how this was such, an obsession that kind of, it became unhealthy. So, seeking support. And, above all, just knowing again that, seeking professional help is beneficial, and kind of, talking to me or having a one-on-one session with me to kind of tease out, the things that you might be worrying about. Any questions? Does this kind of resonate with anyone? No questions? Okay. So we have 2 more webinars left. We have one kind of with similar content, and then our last webinar will just be kind of questions, answers, and going over everything we had talked about. So next week we'll talk about some relaxation techniques, and again, the last webinar will really be kind of an open-ended, question and answer type webinar. So if nobody has any other questions, I will see you guys, or I will talk to you guys next week. Again, I'm always here for emails or any further discussion. Thanks so much, guys.